5 o'clock. Welcome to the November. We're ready, good to go. Welcome to the November meeting of the.
I gotta find it so I can mute it.
She's trying to mute it.
I'm sorry. You want me to call you?
Yeah.
Welcome to the November meeting of the Culver Redevelopment Commission. Please know that your participation in this meeting is going to be interpreted as your acceptance. So being a participant on a rebroadcast where we record these meetings, rebroadcast them on Culver Town YouTube channel. So just want you to be aware of that. Let's stand in for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jenny, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Sarah Jones.
Here. Here. Okay. First order of business, I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball. I'm going to propose an amended agenda. What I would like to do, if I can follow the arrows here, is I would like to take the voting matters up earlier in the agenda, just in case we run short of time. So I'm going to move approval of claims up and combine that with the financial report section. I'm also going to ask Mr. De Benedictis, who's going to talk to us about the Melrose Moon, to join the new business section of the agenda up on top. Speaking of that, we're going to get to that in just a moment. We've got minutes to approve from both September and October. Can we do them both at one time or?
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes from both September and October, and any questions for Secretary?
I move that we approve both September and October minutes as the
Second.
changes that were made.
Ms. Jones approves or motions to approve the minutes from September and October. Mr. Ricciardi, seconds. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we've got approved minutes. So now let's go to a couple of requests for support. Start with Ms. Hubbard. Please, Sally Hubbard, if you would say who you are and where you live, and then we don't bite, right?
Sure. So my name is Sally Hubbard. This is Emily Dittmeyer. We're both on the board for the Culver Youth League, which is the baseball softball league. We have the two youth fields that are behind the elementary school, and we have a lot of work that needs to be done on them. So I have a proposal to ask for funds from everybody. Let's take one. So we volunteered with the league for several years, and in the last couple of years, we took over, stepped in as the board, as the old board members stepped down. And we're at a point that the last board members got us good in the financial aspect, but in doing so, there was a lot that was neglected capital-wise. So our dugouts, our fields, our fences are all falling apart. Our lighting, all the stuff. So our first adventure that we're trying to go on is redoing our fields. My husband, he's also on the board, has spent hours and hours on these fields trying to get them back to where they should be, and it's just not working. So we have a project we're looking to do for one and hopefully two fields eventually. We don't know if we'll be able to do both at the same time or have to do one at a time, because it is rather expensive. But we're looking to grade the baseball field, the front field. Right now, all the grass that is around the infield and by the foul lines has been built up over the years with dirt that gets underneath it, and then the dirt that they run on goes down. So it's become a trip hazard. It's difficult for the kids to judge where the ball's going to go when it hits one of those lips of the grass and it bounces the wrong way. And then the dirt itself in the infield is so worn down that there's a lot of big rocks in there, just stuff that we want to make sure that the kids are safe and they're not gonna have fun sliding and then end up scratching themselves or something. So we are lucky enough to have support with Mere Turf, who they are currently redoing the softball and baseball fields for the middle school, high school. So in doing that, they already have all the equipment here and they're getting the materials, so they're willing to give us a very big discount. But the price per field for us is still $10,000. So we're here to ask with help for some or all, any part that be able to help us get where we need to be. Our priority is that front field. We also want to regrade the pitching mound so that baseball and softball can play on it, based on their league standards for how the pitching mound has to be, because the concessions and the bathrooms are all up there and everything. And the softball players, I think, would like to have not always be stuck in the back where there's no amenities. So that's our primary goal. The other part is that the way the field is right now, pretty much anytime it rains, it floods, and we've had to cancel a lot of games. It's just disappointing for the kids. So we appreciate you listening to us and hope you will consider helping us to fund this adventure. We're trying our best to keep the funds that we have, to look towards investments, to make this program free for kids. Culver Youth League is right now the most low-cost baseball program of any league in the local area, and we want to keep it that way or hopefully make it free. So we want to do our best to reach out to find funding for the things that we need to do to get our field in shape. So, thank you.
How many kids participate?
So we typically, the last couple of years, we've had anywhere from like 80 to 100. We do t-ball, baseball, and softball. We actually started our own league. We used to be in the league with Knox, but it was hard on the kids because the bigger schools are just a lot more competition. They're more developed. So we are teamed up with Argus in the smaller towns to try and make it more fun and competitive and a learning experience.
Boys and girls?
Yes.
Anybody else who's in the field?
Actually, the school does. It's technically the school's property. We have an agreement with them to use it, but we manage it and maintain it. So then the school does use it during the times that they have games and stuff, and they need middle school to practice while high school's playing.
That's what I was gonna ask. Will the school get funds for?
I talked to Karen and she said to reach out to you guys first. See what we can do.
Supposed to be here.
Yeah. Right, where is she tonight?
Yeah. She skipped down.
Right.
Are these the same, I'm assuming these are the same fields that we did the lighting for when Eric came. I know there was a much longer list that he had. He started with lighting.
Yes, he was trying very hard. I know he did some work in the bathrooms too, which are were in rough shape, and they still kind of are, but he did some good work in there. And then we actually have Laporte Construction is going to rebuild our dugouts and our batting cages. We have that covered for now. But we do have to get new poles for all the lighting now. They're 60 years old.
Yeah.
I guess it is for lighting. And then we have our equipment.
I'm assuming, is there fundraising? On these stuff that comes with
Added apparel this year. The registration fees help to cover that. Have some good donors in the community that put in some money so the kids could have real baseball uniforms this year. And a lot of sponsorships.
Tell me more about Premier Turf's contribution to this. So that's 20,000 is that net of what they're providing as far as an in-kind contribution?
I'm not sure how it actually broke down. do believe that, from what I understand, what the school is paying is a lot more than what this is per field. I mean, the fields are smaller for the youth field, but you know, they're able to give us a very heavy discount with the labor.
Are the schools using the same company?
Yes.
Yeah, this strikes me as at least 25 to 30% off, but I would anticipate based upon what I've talked to Lindsay.
I was gonna ask, when we do a facade grant for businesses, we require them to give us 2 quotes. Is that something that we should do or need to do? Something like this?
In theory,
Yep.
I think when you've got. I'd say by that price, he's like. Yeah,
You agree, Jerry? I would think so.
I think the high school would go about 80 grand. I wasn't sure.
it seems like really.
Any other questions for Sally?
Now I just wish we had been able to do those fields when we went to the Stellar project. Just couldn't stretch the dollars to the other side of the school campus because our, you know, with COVID and everything that happened. The end of our Stellar, beginning of regional Stellar kind of impacted that project. It's went way up on the other fields. So our plan was to try to do both. Fine.
We are okay to donate something.
It's school properties. Can justify this supporting this.
Yeah, you can even do programming, STEM programming. We did their facade and the crosswalk, I think, along with that park project when we did.
Would we have to vote to give the money to the school to pay for it, or can we go to the 501c3? and then do it?
I think when we did it with Eric, it went to the 501c. We did so, if I recall.
I believe so. Saw that just recently.
We should clarify that, though, right? Is there a motion? Sit down, think about it.
When are they gonna be out there for the high school fields?
So they have already started, and they said, you know, they could potentially start pretty soon here. But if not, you know, possibly into next year, we do have to avoid the season itself, obviously, and be careful with timing for that. Our season's usually between April and July, during the summer. So
I mean, they saw this.
I think I'm okay with doing the project as proposed, knowing that they are taking care of some of the other issues there. Because first time Eric approaches, I think we really want to see a list and make sure that, you know, we're not just chunk by chunk taking care of it. And it sounds like there've been other investments made since last time, the league and us, and there's some fundraising going on. And, you know, we haven't supported an infrastructure type of project, a capital project at the school in a while. So I guess I'll form that into a motion to cover the costs of the youth league fields have those in your term.
Is there a second? Motion. No, I know. I was saying, I'm saying we have a second. But mumbling. Okay, so we have a motion from Ms. Oh, we have a second. Ms. Ricciardi. to fund as requested. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for all you do.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate that. Okay, she got us warmed up, Paul.
Thanks. I'm Paul DeBenedictis. I live in 424 Forest Place in Culver. I'm a board member on the Wild Rose Moon, joined by Judy Smith, who also lives in Culver and is a board member, and George Schricker, who's the executive director of the Wild Rose Moon. Just a reminder from last time when I gave the update on where we were. CRC had provided funds for sponsorship of 5 programs where the town of Culver was highlighted: live performance, radio broadcast across Michigan, and television broadcast across Michigan, and provided an update at that time. Follow from that meeting was a layout of what we're doing in 2026, and that's the purpose for us being here. I know I've shared the 3 different levels of participation where sponsorship provided in return, besides your support for our good work, your visibility of the town of Culver across the region. I believe that sheet that I provided was sponsorship at 11,000, where we roughly get the same 5 performance programs. 18,000 would get all performances in Plymouth, live performances, and the 25,000 gets all those performances, the 2 major performances done up in South Bend, as well as we have a summer theater program. And so it's really everything that comes out of the move on that in 2026. I want to kind of say what this means to us, and then what we think it may mean to you. Not telling you how to spend your money, but if you were to go with the top program at 25,000, for us, that's about 20% of our operating budget. So you would alleviate from us a little bit less of our fundraising. You know, and that's just straight honest fact that helps us focus more on delivering the product and doing what our mission is. We're a performing arts center. We bring live performance of the performing arts recorded in our county and then put out across northern Michigan. And those that sponsor us get recognized for that type of support in the arts, as well as being able to highlight who they are in particular. So that would help us. And by the way, any support through the sponsorship program would be greatly appreciated. What it might mean to you is we've been doing this for 10 years. And we finally feel like we got our stride right now. If you were doing the $25,000, all of our performances would have sponsorship by beautiful town of Culver. And that'll be read during the live performance as well as built into the broadcast performances on television. Because we're doing these 2 shows up in South Bend, one in March around the St. Patrick's theme at the Civic, and then in the fall we're doing one at the Layton Auditorium. Those are about 3 times the size, or a little over 3 times the size of our normal shows in the audience. And it really is a way to project. If we were, and again, assuming from your shoes, projecting the town of Culver. We also do a lot of pre-promotion. We have a partnership with ABC 57, PBS Michiana, as well as WDPE, National Public Radio. And they do programs that highlight us and do interviews that bring us out there. And usually, especially when it comes to those big shows, they do other programs with us, but when it comes to big shows, we always highlight who our sponsors are. We feel it's a value that we can bring, a business value, besides this being just good for the community. It's a business value back as a way of putting things out there. One last thing about the South Bend shows. We've done the one at the Layton before, and our sponsors, actually the Layton Auditorium asked material from your sponsors, put them out. So in those cases, we certainly would take anything you want from find Culver, visit Culver, and take that up there. Doesn't mean you have to come up demand that, but we'll bring that up there and put that out with us. And again, it's just a way of having it, another way of having success on both sides. The other part is, as happy as we are with what has happened in 2025, we think 26 is going to be better. So we've just done an analysis of our online ticket sales. They've gone up 70% in 25 over 24. And that's because we were able to do year round through the summer performances. We're also getting just a lot of positive feedback about who we are and how we're seen, much more as a Michiana resource. And we think these things are going to help whoever is a sponsor. It is something that will stay with. We're just getting our follow-on rewatch information from our broadcast partners and our own online. Right now, I could say most all of our television shows have been rewatched hundreds of times by others. The sponsorships are embedded in our programs. So PBS or BPE, they do other things outside it, but once we start the show, our sponsors are read through there and they aren't cut out. So even after 2026, if you've sponsored the show and it stays up there, the shows are good, so people go back to watch them. It'll be cited again. So with that, just would reiterate, we appreciate your support for 25. We would love to see your support for 26 at whatever you're comfortable with, and we want to work with you. Thank you.
Terrific. Any thoughts, questions for Paul, Judy, or George?
I just remember when George came to the Regional Stellar Committee to be part of regional planning. They said if I had the right equipment and I had support of these communities, we could really do a lot with arts and culture, which was one of the pillars of our Regional Stellar Plan. You took those funds and you sure did do that. I mean, how far it's come just since those meetings is pretty amazing. So congrats on that. It's pretty neat to see you're here and just to know sort of the progress you guys have made.
Thank you so much. We've been really fortunate to have a lot of talent that come to us and be able to integrate that talent has been very rewarding for our organization, for me personally.
And the number of people that your partnership with Maurice and just everything you guys are doing is bringing people to Culver, to Marshall County, to restaurants, et cetera. I think it's pretty powerful. So thank you for that. I'm
Great to see
obviously, last year I was a fan of us going as, top level. So I would propose that, but I'm open to whatever CRC thinks.
I think that your demographic is, I'm no marketing expert, but even I know that your demographic is a good one for Culver. And South Bend is an area that we hope to draw from. And so there's some real value, I think, in going all in and including the South Bend location.
I see the benefit of advertising in the South Bend area. You don't want to just advertise right near home, driving around looks.
I do think our contract would have to stipulate that we're buying advertising and marketing through the organization. Obviously, we can't pay for operation costs, but we've certainly paid for advertising and marketing with our visitor center. I love that if we had a visitor center brochure that was specifically geared toward marketing specific things in Culver that would appeal to that audience, that you would distribute those at some of the shows, et cetera. I think that's a good thing.
I agree. I really like what you've done and big fan of the culture and arts, especially here. That's something that we talked about before. Get more of that, not that the broadcast from here, but bringing people to here, people that follow the arts feedback, like Marty said, that's very in line with our demographics.
We have, because people order a lot online, we see where their credit card originated from. So we're able to see, and it is North Circle, a little further north, but west and east and south, and they're all within driving distance. We're getting more and more people from out of state, and that's a different conversation we actually will have with visitor center. Because we're seeing that because a lot of our talent, well, some of it's regional, some of it's also national, people followed it. But we also realize that it's a good quality of life and quality of place with what the Moon does and the talent that they bring in for performances. But we also want to give other people other reasons to be. It's arts, it's performing arts, it's entertainment as well, and a reason to stay. So people do know the town of Culver, and it's a lot of times even up north. And we did the last show. Oh, we down. That's the Culver's nearby. Oh, it's a beautiful lake. Give them a reason. Glad to give them a reason to come down to see this.
But your town manager is, given all you've been working on lately.
I think it's a cornerstone of talking with Matthew Selmer and Heartland. And the thing I love about it the most is it captures the tourism and the weekend warrior visitor, but it also has that folk element to it. I'm watching the performances and stuff. There's something it's not your typical, there's something still authentic about it.
Organic.
Organic is a great word for it. And I think it's a key piece, I think, if we're going to see ourselves as developing that component within Culver, which is the driver for the economies and the future development. I think that relationship is so strong. And beyond the advertising for Culver, it helps cement and bond a working relationship that I think has real future implications for ourselves as a town. So yeah, I love it.
Well, I'm sensing violent agreement here. If there's a motion, I'm happy to entertain it.
Sponsorship of all. Maybe that'll help motivate other communities to jump in with us.
We've got a motion from Ms. Monroe, seconded by Ms. Jones to do the full year 12 performance scholarship or sponsorship advertising at the $25,000 level. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.
You
Really
get back
appreciate
and
it.
work with you for all the details later,
Right.
including what you want to put out.
That's great. That'd
I'm
be
glad
good.
to do that.
We'll go to work on it. And we'll do the same thing we did last time.
Right.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Judy, George.
Thank you.
All right. So let's take a look at the town manager report is going to move back.
Yeah.
Because we don't vote on that.
For you.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. Let's do the financial report. All of you got a chance to take a look at it. For the record, our fund balances are $1,312,759. That's as of Halloween, 10/31. Our expenses year to date, $346,141. That's against a pro rata budget of about $1 million. So obviously, within our spending, we added the 27,000 that we approved any claims at the last meeting to get to that number. And if there are no questions for Karen, then I will entertain a motion to approve the October financial statement. Okay. Is there a second? All right. Thank you, Jerry. So moved by Ms. Ricciardi and seconded by Mr. Seiler for approval of the October financials as submitted. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So we'll move on to claims for October, a total of $41,662.37. That includes 32,000. It's really driven by the 32,000 in engineering expenses, which you will recall we agreed to relative to the dunes, since we are the happy recipients of the revenues coming out of it. project. There's also 7,500, which is our share of the hotel feasibility study, and about 1,500 advertising expense for the visitor center. Add that all up, you get to the 41,662.37. I'll entertain a motion to approve claims.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
All right. Motion by Ms. Jones, seconded by Ms. Monroe. All in favor?
Marty, I'm sorry, just a correction really quick. The 7,500 will be reimbursed back into the redevelopment fund. That's coming from Marshall County Tourism. Thank you, Marshall County Tourism.
I thought that was half of the,
We've
I thought it
already-
was 50.
That's already, it is, and the redevelopment's already paid their 7,500. This is the second 7,500. Karen is going to make the payment, so we don't have a late fee. Take care of that. The check will be picked, checks in the mail, so that will be coming back into the fund. All right. Thanks. No, thank you, Karen, because she's the one that pointed it out.
Great,
Caught
thanks,
it.
Taurus.
Yeah. they-
Great
Really?
job.
How can
Very
you
happy.
turn Kevin
Happy.
down, right?
So charming.
Once again, I guess I'll call for the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, got that done. Last thing before. I'm going to need to leave you is the, well, we got two things. We've got the spending plan, which we approved as a draft last month. I presented to the town council last week. Received no, I received positive response. There was no suggested changes. Mr. Clevenger, do you have anything?
I have nothing to add.
Thank you. This is slightly different than what you saw last time, though, nonetheless, because what we've done, Karen clarified that we do need to show in the spending plan the bond payments relative to the dunes, which will be made next year. They are being made out of funds that are accrued to the trustee, the bond trustee, as well as some tip revenue that will be realized from the properties. I don't know if it's just the, the base assessed value plus, right? Whatever, it would be just whatever is above the base value because of the construction
gap
that
of the
they
assessed
as of year end. And so it probably won't be a lot, but at any rate, it was projected not to be a lot. And at all events, projected to cover the accrued interest expense on the bonds, so it's okay. So and it's shown as a wash in this spending plan. I increased the number and then added a bond expense of 250,000, which is slightly rounded up for expected bond payment next year. Are there any questions on that?
We added the money for the Main Street project, and was that a professional expense?
Yes. No, where did we put them? I think it was professional.
Thought it was
Yeah,
professional.
yeah, we did. We bumped that up. Yep. Any other questions? I will entertain a motion then to, this needs to be filed by December 1st. I'd like to entertain a motion to authorize Karen to put that together and file it with the town council. But
Spending plan. Inside.
right, is there a second? Oh, the chair was just about to do it. Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Monroe and seconded by Ms. Jones for the 2026 spending plan as presented this evening. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Retail strategies is next, please.
Absolutely. So I distributed the three RFP proposals that were delivered to us for Main Street development and market gap analysis. In consideration, we ranked those, and in reading them, I thought in feedback that I received, retail strategies and downtown strategies were on top in terms of the RFP. We did bring in Sarah Beth Stewart in the town last week, and the presentation went well. And I would like to request the approval of the redevelopment to move forward with retail strategies, downtown strategies for the first year of requested scope, which would be $55,000, with the second and third year implemental support at $25,000 each. What I'm asking for tonight, I think, and this is up to the commission, is for that first year fee of $55,000. I don't think we need to have the second and third. I think those are optional, Marty, if I understood them correctly. So I'm asking tonight for $55,000 to approve retaining the service of retail strategies and downtown strategies for our market gap analysis and revitalization of downtown.
Is there a contract that's been presented?
There is, I do have a contract, but I'll bring it, I have it on my computer, but I wasn't going to be presumptuous. I will get that.
So it's subject to review, right? That's the
Absolutely.
contract?
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that the redevelopment commission would like to review the contract as part of that.
So, yeah, our condition, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Any questions for Kevin?
I thought it was a good presentation. And I like that there was flexibility in the data gathering. Where they could really make it more specific and narrow it down for what needs to be here. All the, I don't want to say oddities, but unique things in Culver. I think they would work well.
Any other, can you speak on behalf of the Main Street organization and their thoughts on this topic?
And speaking with
My sense is that positive.
yeah, I agree. I would argue not only positive, but I think very much so thought that it's long overdue in some ways. I think they're encouraged by the fact that retail strategies, downtown strategies come in and they offer some organization and some direction. One of the things I think that a lot of our Main Street owners and the organization themselves want to see action. They don't want to see a plan sitting on a shelf, and they want a kind of an immediacy to that action. And I think one of the things that Sarah Beth did establish is that they're going for those small wins. They're coming in on the ground, they're going to hit the ground running, but they also have an eye to a larger vision. And I think it is encouraging. And now they have to deliver, obviously, but I think that's something that was about all, especially with wayfinding. That was one thing that's really resonating with, especially on Main Street. Knowing that we already have the banners, but I think they're going to bring more insight into that wayfinding. That's encouraging.
Anything from public here?
One
Yes,
thought, just talking to
please
Katie
tell.
Llewellyn, talking to, I've just put a member said, please help me avoid bringing in national chains to downtown and uptown, because we don't want to be anywhere USA. Make it unique.
Absolutely.
I think that's a shared concern.
And if I may, within the RFP, I think that retail strategies, they recognize that. One of the comparable with Mount Olive, and they were able to take that field, obviously Pickle Factory, but they were able to really understand development within the context of that. Obviously, I would compare it like Max and Cucky being that driver behind development. I think anything national or large would bring that feel to it. And I think they were sensitive to
It
that.
would, but then I think that attention needs to be not over stressing that way. Is the other thing.
100%. There's a balance to be made.
Exactly.
I appreciate that.
Bill, anything from you?
I thought it was a very, very fine presentation. I think it's a very, very well needed project.
So hand raise.
Hey, good. Paul Berry, representing Ghost and Max LLC. I went 5 minutes ago. One thing to offer up on downtown is letters of engagement or intent by each property owner. Got to have some skin in the game. If that building is being occupied and it's going to stay that way to be a man cave, saving it from my granddaughter or something like that. declare that now. So it's part of the multi-year plan. Real estate is a finite element. You say downtown. Downtown is what it is till you knock down something loose. So example, the annexation of a lot up at 1710. I would suggest, if you're talking about economic development for Culver, define Culver. So it doesn't necessarily have to be downtown to have the benefit or the access. So I think there's a blend, and then you got to cap it out. And who is the town? Lake properties. You guys want to make the annexation not, dollars that trickle down various ways.
Yeah.
Had to define that because Culver, I think, is at the tipping point that everything will kind of run away. So all the things that make it homey and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So set your boundaries.
Yeah, that's an excellent question.
So
I hear that more and more often, right?
letter, so take away, letter to the tenant, signature. Can't lay a signature down and declare that I own this building, I own this business in this building, renting it. I will entertain at least something.
We're halfway there on that, actually. I did an earlier study using in focus on other consulting firm that helps people like us make sure we had everybody identified and mailing addresses and contact information so we can pursue that kind of information. Thank you.
One more thing, is does the town have a policy, or will the town have a policy going forward on all of this to work with the building owners who are leasing, renting their properties for their store spaces, their storefronts downtown, uptown, wherever? To maybe, if there's a way to get them to be able to market both to the community, just community. And then, of course, there are the parents that come into the academy and people want to come and spend a lot of money here. But going into some of the stores right now, I think you all know, they're expensive. And I know they're paying high rents. And if there's a way for people to offer even a break, we want to get you in here, we'll give you a 2-year lighter on the rent side until you get established and then off you go, something like that.
Yeah, we've thought about a program like that. We've had some resistance from the owners, but.
But it's a good idea.
Some of the rents are.
$3 or $5 less per item, just people see it.
I think some of the data that that the retail strategies collect is a regional data, and it indicates that where your market really is coming downtown. And I think it's an awareness issue. I don't want to say that the market downtown isn't aware, but I don't think they realize the frequency of the immediate surrounding area coming into town. And I think by demonstrating it through data and having an outside objective voice in here, I think we may be able to move the market and also identify areas where that's why we have the gap analysis. So I'm hoping using data, we can reshift the economy to have a better balance within the region. That makes.
Yeah.
As much as I really would like to continue this discussion and participate in it, I think I'm going to pull it back now just to the retail strategies decision, and then as part of the public input on the agenda, you can continue the discussion. But I'd like to call the vote on or solicit a motion to move forward as the town manager is recommending.
I'll motion we move forward with the $55,000 fee as well as the contract. Pending Kevin's review of that contract as well as CRC members who would like to review the contract. And if anything comes up, we address that at the next meeting, but should move forward and let this go please now.
Do I have a second? Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Monroe and second by Ms. Jones to accept the year 1 requested scope of work, subject to contract review with retail strategies. I'm saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Big step. Now we're going to live with them for a year. So, all right. I am so sorry to have to jump out on you, but I leave you in the great hands of Sally or Jenny or both.
Yep, I got you.
Okay, well, we've covered all the way through. So we'll go back and do the town manager report and we'll.
Okay.
So shooting it over to you again.
Hey, how you doing? Number one, thank you guys. I was encouraged tonight, especially with the softball fields. I think that's a good thing. I really do. And with supporting the arts and culture, it's also a priority that's in our comp plan. And I think that goes a long way. So thank you very much. Now back to the reality of probably starting next week and into it. I've been moved in visiting different plants at wastewater and having conversations with different experts. I think the next step in the process is to write a request for qualifications. Not necessarily a proposal, kind of remove the process from a pricing standpoint and try to get the most qualified company in. The second thing in these conversations is I think we divorce it and we get a designer and then we put an RFP out for a contract, a build. So doing it in 2 stages. One of the things I think is important is having input on the whole time going through this process, from developing the RFQ to selecting a company to go with on the design and what we want out there at wastewater. And then also having a voice of both the council and redevelopment and deciding who the contractor is that we go with on this build. Forming a selection committee, I think is key. And I think that selection committee also have input on the RFQ as well as an RFP for a build. One of the first steps to this, I think, is inviting the town council and redevelopment for a code work session at the plant itself. I would like our operator, Ben, to take us through that plant, walk through it, talk about some of the challenges he's had to keep and maintain in terms of qualifications for the state. And that has been challenging at times for him. Definitely understand capacity, not necessarily an issue, but the efficiency of that plant and how much he's had to put into keeping it going. I can try to explain it, but I think Ben's the one that taught me anything I know in a lot of ways. So don't blame him, but he's pretty good. You just got to get him to talk. So Bob can't be around, but Ben's been really good on the team too to these plants. And I think he has some things to say. So I'd like to include him on the RFQ committee as well as selection. But that's where I'm starting. I think it's important. The first part of the qualification also, if we put it out there, is to get a study-like component to that. Somebody that, not necessarily a study, but something that could be converted into a study for funding reasons. And that's something we can do. And it's quite simple. So we don't have to spend too much time on a study. We kind of know, but we could get something that's study-like. So working with it, like your input, and probably going to start it up in a week and a half. I'm going to ask us to go out in a nice cold time, better than July at a wastewater plant. December's not bad. So maybe we get out there a little bit just because it's time sensitive. I'm sorry. Don't give me that face. But get moving on it. And
You need bring a little Vicks, put it under your nose.
there you go. You'll be all right. Not too bad.
Yeah.
Jerry might enjoy the tour every day. But I figure we're going to be bonding that and yeah, it's true. But I want to make sure that there's money involved in this, and I want to make sure that I have the expertise of both the town council and redevelopment, as well as some of the people that I spoke to. I want it to be a village, the decision. I think that's important to me. I think it's important to everybody for that matter. It doesn't matter what's important to me. The hotel are still in talks, and it's going pretty positively. Trying to get moving on to the next stage. But that's kind of on a set it, forget it for me, but just to keep you up to date because there was a contribution made.
Kevin, quick question on the
Sure.
hotel. Is the company open to design? Do they have any, are all of their designs very similar, or do they have some that are unique to community? Or-
Yeah, they have versions that are unique, and then they have some experimental that they put in certain markets. What they're proposing to us is their high-end model. They call it their Main Street model, so it's a step above what they might put on an interstate or something. And it's got a much more Main Street kind of finished field. They would describe it as maybe a step, half step below a boutique hotel. And so it does have that, and I've seen the design, it's not bad, but until they get further along, I think, and when they get further along on the deal, and I'm kind of trying to purposely not get myself involved in it because there's investment to be made, and we can't as a town be endorsing and pushing something. My job is if somebody's interested, I send them to Chris Hart.
We don't have any architectural review rights. or
Nothing,
anything like that.
nothing, no, nothing like that. And so, and marketing
Yeah,
and branding rights.
I'm
that-
starting to think about too, like what's our zoning ordinance say about that type of structure?
And that's something.
Because people will get up in arms at the look and feel of it, rightfully so, right?
And I agree with you 100%, Jenny, but I think I'd be putting the cart ahead of the horse right now if we started those conversations because we haven't made it there in the deal yet. The first thing is the property's got to get secured and the next step has to be an investment interest. There has to be investors come forward because Marty's worked on a proposal for an incentive plan, obviously to try to get ready for that stage, but nothing's official. So there's some flexibility and fluidity to the deal right now that needs to get stabilized before we start. Then I think they got to come in and pitch it. They got to come in with a proposal. And if there are some variances or some things that are zoning issues, they're going to have to come before planning. I think that might happen anyway. Or a TRC committee and then eventually makes it to the plan. But yeah, I think that has to come anyway. So not yet, but forthcoming.
It's just not something we've been through.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I could see maybe when we do a TRC or whatever those early steps
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And yeah, it could be a year before we even there, 2 years for all I know.
Yeah, and I don't know what their patience and their schedule's like on their end, but that can't be a concern. I think we've got to follow our processes and do it correctly. Not saying that it can't happen faster than that, but all I'm concerned with is making sure we follow the proper steps and not over committing the town's support into this because it is a private economic project. It's not something that the town is doing. And like any other business, we can offer incentives into that, right? But we're not out there pitching it.
Yeah.
In a sense.
And if they purchase property that they don't need any zoning changes or variances.
Yeah, it may never come forward.
It may not.
It may,
It
other
may
than
not.
TRC.
Sure. And we've had some discussions with the company. It's very minimal. It is. But the utilities, it's very minimal on the utilities. That's one thing I checked because in selecting and talking about locations, that was a factor involved in it.
Never activated it, but it can be that's not.
I'll get the contract for Main Street too, and I apologize. I just didn't want to bring it in tonight because negotiations will happen on the back end. I mean, but they did send the contract, I think about a week ago. I won't speak. I can't remember, but I know before Sarah came here, she sent a contract, but I wanted to make sure the proposal went through without the expectation of the contract on the table. Theater, they're contacting me, Kurt Neubauer. The RFP for the tear down I think is out. I'm encouraging that. And I really hope, strongly hope that tear down happens before the end of the year. We're going to have a phone conversation, I hope, next week, kind of encouraging early in the week and get it down to its base. And that way we can start with the design and encouraging maybe some investment in people that want to contribute to rebuilding the theater. Email blast is going out. That was essentially with the commercial that you guys helped sponsor and the Dennis Quaid Viewpoint. There's a certain way I'm supposed to say that. Let's just say Viewpoint. I won't use the other name. But the flyer that they designed came out and it looks really good. I like it. It's a clean look. It's drawing on some of the old, they asked me for some imagery. Obviously the Culver logo is standard, so we use that. And discover the charm of Culver, Indiana, an inviting destination where natural beauty, small town warmth, and rich history come together. Kind of riffing on what we were talking about. But nice trails, and it goes in all the good stuff. Small excerpts. When you click there, it takes you to the visitor center. And Barb Johnson's been updating the visitor center. She's got the calendar. She's got some things. Update. Yeah, Barb really took it on. I want to thank her for that too. A good meeting this week with Barb in the Main Street organization, developed Culver, and things are moving forward there as well. You try to get some new leadership in there in some different positions and
For development.
develop Culver. Yeah. Yep. And things are good there. That's basically what I have for the redevelopment. If I forget or have any questions, let me know. But I'll be reaching out through email on that wastewater work study or work session. And I like to try to do it all at once and knock it off so Ben doesn't get too exhausted. Just get Ben to talk. It's not the easy thing. So that's it. You and Jerry? Sure. All right. Thank you. Good night.
Okay, so we did town manager's report. That bumps us all the way to public input. Public?
Yeah, I had a question. Who did the email, how was the email blast selected? Like what's somewhere good?
Sure, yeah. And we sat down and tried to get some of the Main Street owners of the businesses together. And I think the consensus, Marty was there, Develop Culver representatives were there. One of the discussions was that we were kind of looking for that weekend market, that Midwestern market. So we looked at a 200-mile radius. That was probably the prime driver behind. We had a whole list of demographics. You could go from business, we could go from to commercial to other businesses, which didn't make sense for us. We're not trying to do that. So we went to consumers. We went to individuals who we want to try to attract for tourism and visiting. So we did a 200-mile radius. We got down to Louisville, Cincinnati, Columbus, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Madison, Wisconsin. We kind of reached out there on that radius map. The other thing too is we did a financial demographic of an down baseline of 80,000 all the way up to 500,000. We selected recreational markets, people who own dogs, people who like to take walks and pass. It was people who own boats, obviously, right? So they take that demographic and they take that radius and they have basically they're monitoring people's use online. There's companies that do that. They use those demographic gurus. They say, hey, I need this. I need 1 million in this category. And those prime
Who's
drivers.
the people that did this?
So, yeah, I'm sorry. So the company that we worked with to develop for the viewpoint and the commercial, this is an added bonus that came along with it. You get a 1 million distribution. And so that's what that flyer was designed to do. They did the design. I just provided them the logos and everything. It's a very clean, simple one-page design with clickable link, and they'll get and I don't know who they are. I'm dealing with 5 different organizations. Those people. I've dealt with 5 different people from Viewpoint, but they're going to take care of that, and the 1 million goes out. The commercial aired on Fox Business back on the 3rd, I believe, and then for the public television series is hitting out in the end of November. And I'm trying to get right now, they're going to try to get me a list and dates of all the different, but it's going to hit about 51. It's available in 51 states. And it's really just driving that I like it because it really kind of makes us look very charming.
Is that something we can have the moon use or no?
Yeah, for I don't own distribution rights to it. We can use it internally, but we cannot use it because it is part of our viewpoint sense. We can use it for internal reasons, but we can't use it for distribution. The one thing they loved was that by the way, that stellar video that was done years ago, that just rocks. They had to pull some summer clips out of that because it was a miserable day for shooting.
The guy who filmed it for us is one.
Oh yeah, they were all over it. So what I did, because I can't use the video that they shot for the click link on this, so I used the stellar video online. So it takes them to the visitors page, and I included the stellar video as well, because that stellar video is just, it's Culver in essence. So it was nice to be able to recycle that. So that's how they decided.
Yeah, I think ours came out better than so personal.
It was fantastic.
We had, when we presented it downstate, some of the state people who were judging us cried. They got teary. It was so because we were kind of emotional when we were presenting, but it was just really cool to see they were affected by that video too.
It does have a great feel to it.
Yeah.
Is there?
Any other public input?
Not very. Next year is the 250th anniversary of Navy. Recommend that we celebrate or have here.
Commercial county had something happen. That's a really good idea.
So I suggest, instead of saying the completion in 250, and the start of the next 250 going forward. And tiered with that is at least a mental approach that Culver first has, then Culver or Culver. And then Culver visitors. That end is infrastructure, and maybe as part of the 250th and going forward, doing a hard push on finishing out whatever needs to be done. So long lead items, like a tree, it takes many years to grow. Get efficient to do that.
Well, we do have, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there are 100 slated to be planted this spring. So we've got them.
That could be part of the,
That would be good.
here's something we want to last 250 years.
Well, I get offered up, I give a buddy of mine, he just finished 6,000 trees in Columbus. I can't. Place MOAC. So he's online to help out at the big boy level. So just a suggestion, focus maybe on infrastructure, sidewalks, trails, and yeah.
I think we got, we just put in the new trail. That's a good thing. I think bringing out some of the projects that were started a long time ago and kind of,
How we should be having ribbon cutting, because I was exhausted.
I know, we need to have a ribbon cutting in the frame with the new trail, but I think Paul brings up a good point. And Jenny, you mentioned it during meetings, there may be opportunity to bring, and I think Karen was mentioning QR codes and placing them along, something I worked a little bit with Maycog and you did a little bit with wayfinding in the trails, but kind of telling the story of Culver, some of the history, and tying into that history through the QR codes, taking them from one end of town, telling them the history of the town as you move through the town, maybe the railroad history as you move through the park and the beach lodge history, work, all the work programs that were done in the 30s, and then the
Dan
academy
Adams
history.
wanted to do that with the houses.
Yeah.
Like the Lily House, he had certain ones that he said if you had a barcode, there's so many walkers.
There are.
And I've noticed so many more dogs than I've ever seen before, right? So you see more walkers with the dogs as well. He's like, they should know the history of my house and so-and-so's house. And that collective history gets lost if you aren't celebrating it.
It does. I think people refer to it all the time as don't change the Culver. It's our small town. And that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But a key component of it is this shared history. And I think Paul brings up a good point. It's an opportunistic point with the 250th celebration of the nation to kind of recapture and retell some of that history. It might be a good project too. Yeah. Oh yeah. Jeff is. Oh no, he's a guru. Oh, absolutely. He knows the academy inside and out. He's a wonderful archivist and a historian in first class. So you're right. It's good.
Celebrate more and reflect more because they said you have a lot to be proud of here, right? And that was kind of interesting to us because we're all just trying to win and chug along and work hard. But how often do we do look, that happened. That was, sometimes I'm on a walk and I'm like, oh, we changed that, we built that, and I'm out here enjoying it on a trail. It hits you the work, right?
Yeah.
But we don't really reflect a whole lot on it or celebrate it a lot. Like we even put on our website that we want to celebrate. And everyone was like, why aren't you branding that? But it was like, that wasn't our mission. Our mission was to get more work done and
Sure.
And, go after this grant and build this. And it was all about quality of life. It wasn't about, let's now brag and celebrate, but in a way, you lose that momentum if you aren't sort of acknowledging it takes a lot of work to get there. Celebrate the good stuff and also celebrate the history,
I think too,
what gets you there.
I mentioned it to the plan commission the other night, but taking the comprehensive plan, there are very specific call to action points in there. Right, the action plan, bringing that into the chamber and the council and for redevelopment, having hanging somewhere in here. I was surprised at how many check boxes that I could place on that comprehensive plan that we're doing. But being intentional and being able to articulate it, the 100 trees and the pulse and getting more trees, priority, we're taking care of it. The infrastructure with the wastewater and the water improvements there, getting the housing with the dunes, right? That's been around for a long time. That's getting hit. The discussion of a hotel is found inside of there. I think there's a lot of points that we are touching that we're not intentionally pointing to, letting people know that we're addressing that comprehensive plan intention. And a lot of things we do.
Yeah, I do think that the committee that really rounded our stellar plan, as well as the regional stellar plan, and then the comp plan, we need to reignite that group. So the Culver Crossroads group really that started 2015
Yes.
to really COVID kind of messed with a lot of it.
I caught the tail end of it as the
yeah.
comp plan was coming
Yeah.
out. That is a good.
And the
good
comp
celebration.
plan's the last thing that I've heard from that group. And it would be great to refresh that group too, because we've had more people, different people move into town, fresh blood, fresh ideas. We should put out another call. It really had stakeholders from both schools. We had redevelopment, we even had plan commission. We had farmer, we had volunteer people who represented different segments of our community with council members on it. I literally, there were probably about 30 of us, and 20 regularly showed up.
Is that something that could be folded into or with developed Culver?
Yeah, I mean, developed Culver's supposed to be strictly focused on Main Street,
Here we go.
but
So I'm
we
asking you.
considered it more of a plan.
Yeah.
And it kind of sparked stellar for they modeled their sort of vision and regional planning team off of what Culver's doing. That's how Culver or Marshall County Crossroads
Develop that.
emerged, which I think is now the one in the C group. But the idea was planning is always occurring, and it always involves all the segments of your community, so that we don't end up going, okay, well, the municipal people are working on this only, right? And that particular group really had some great momentum. So they took, at one point, when Jonathan Lice came on his first year as town manager, we had just done the last comp plan, and his first week here, I said, you're about to meet all the stakeholders in this town. It's gonna be a lot of fun. You guys are gonna get bombarded with requests. I don't know if they did that to you, Kevin.
No, not at all.
But we took the comp plan at that point, handed it out, said to everyone, you have 20 minutes to come up with the top 3 priorities. We broke it out to like 4 groups. And among the 4 groups, they were all picking the same things.
Yeah.
Trails, parks and rec trails, housing was number 1. And then number 3, one was outdoor rec and one was trails. But we did a 5-year plan based on that to check off. Let's make sure we do what's in the plan. And that's essentially what's happening with this current comp too. Except I think you guys are going a lot faster.
Well, we have a better base to work from, so, yeah.
Jenny, I'd just like to add, congratulate your commission. I think that funding of the retail strategy is probably going to be one of the better investments.
Well, as Evan could tell you, I think that was one of the top 3 that came out of this comp plan was Main
Yeah.
Street.
It was. And there's a lot of, just like what we've gotten from feedback tonight, I think that feedback is so essential, but having that independent, objective company to come in and drive it, the main thing is having connections to resources that may not be
Yeah.
immediately available to us, providing some more information, Bill, I think. It's just beyond my scope of knowledge.
Yeah, and it might reinvigorate some of the business owners that are gone.
I hope so.
Some of those have turned over. There's new ones that might want to, get activated. I guess we're having member input right now. Any member input, dear. Sally,
No, I don't think so.
Sarah.
Not-
Motion to adjourn. All right, all in favor? Aye. Don't put 4-0 on the boat or 5-0.
Your choice.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good evening.
Thanks for your input.
Yeah. Got a lot of trees, Paul.
Yeah, I was thinking.
I agree. I got you.
Yeah, they do on the one side, but not the
Yeah.
other.
So I was gonna say, well, maybe we'll do half of them.
We fully thought that Eric was gonna come back. He basically said it. Like, give us a bigger plan here. Let's not. Let's do this all over. And he never came back.
I used to cook, but it seems like every 2 years, somebody will charge.
That's what I was curious if they.
At least they have some new energy, right? And at least.
Appreciate the idea. I got to turn off this recording.
Oh, I bet.
Okay, so that's-
Let me kill this recording.
That is Emily Dittmeyer.
Does she have younger ones?
Yeah, maybe 10, 11, 12-ish.
Dittmeyer's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The proposal was really good.
It's very professional.
What's that?
Two field living.
It's very professional.
No,